talk of Tinsel Town after his lawyer's claims that the Hollywood legend is unable to turn down acting roles due to his estranged wife's expensive tastes.
Well, Robert's legal team have accused his ex-wife of spending vast amounts of money, including the purchase of a diamond. I can't even say it because it's so much money. Said to be worth over £1 million.
Well, to bring us more on the story, it's Sam Rubin. Morning, Sam. Good to see you.
Good morning.
Phillip and Rochelle, good morning to you both. I tell you what, not a particularly good morning if you're Robert De Niro's accountant. We certainly know Raging Bull, we know Taxi Driver, we know the many, many great movies that he's done. Over 125 films to his credit, but there are other lesser films, Dirty Grandpa, The War with Grandpa, other films that a lot of people would say no to. De Niro apparently in the financial position where he cannot say no. A lot of people suggest the breakup settlement with Grace Hightower did not go his way, and he continues to support his estranged partner. And as you mentioned, she has got very, very expensive tastes. De Niro's lawyer saying between his alimony, child support, a variety of other expenses, and tax bills, that he basically has to keep working to keep paying. A lot of people talk about this American divorce laws. If you've been together either under the umbrella of marriage or a common law marriage for more than 10 years, then the higher earner is taking care of the other partner essentially for life. De Niro and Hightower were together for more than 10 years. There are children between the two of them, and thus it is an expensive world to be Robert De Niro when your ex keeps on spending.
So with those rules, those laws, those American divorce laws, I mean, obviously divorce in any country is complicated, and so you would think that, right, okay, you split your money half and half, here you go, that's it, there's your half, there's my half, what I earn, there's your half, here's my half. If you choose to spend your half on $1 million diamond, then that's fair enough, but you've spent all your money then. So that's not the way it works.
If only it were so easy. That you essentially have two expenses, particularly if there are children involved. You have something they call spousal support or alimony. So that is one monthly check. And then you have, fee for kids for their schooling and thereon. Usually that sunsets when a child reaches 18 years of age, sometimes 21 years of age. But as anyone who's been involved in a high-profile divorce can tell you, it's almost as if the outlay never stops. There's Hollywood history for this. We'll go all the way back to the great, great James Mason, who was in the same circumstance, so many legendary films, but he too had to keep on working, doing things that he didn't want to do. De Niro has done a variety of commercial endeavors he has not wanted to do, including the bread adverts. He also does commercials, of course, for Kia cars. And then John Cleese, of course, a Brit, said that as he passed at his 70th year, he spends 2 months a year, Cleese does, doing work he wouldn't otherwise do to support his former wife as well.
Well, let's move on to. I mean, you would have thought that George Clooney would really rather have been invited round, would have invited Robert De Niro round to his house, because George has given $1 million away to 12 friends. Why didn't he get De Niro round?
Wow!
I know. I wanted to be on this guest list as well, but I tell you what, this is a story that has bubbled around for a very long time. One of the recipients, Cindy Crawford's husband, Randy Gerber, told the story, but no one has ever told the story, Phillip and Rochelle, in detail like this. The comedic actor Richard Kind was on our program, the Morning News, the KTLA Morning News here in Los Angeles, and I got him to reveal details of this $12 million dinner. Imagine you walk into a room, there is a suitcase at each place setting. Inside that suitcase, $1 million. Richard tells it here, watch. This fabled dinner party where there was a briefcase at every table, did that really happen?
Yes, it really did. And nobody knew what it was. George, in his kindness, was very nice and knows that that money is more often needed at certain times when we have children, because children cost a fortune. And so he was very generous with us. Now that he has children, I think he has to save a little more, because children cost a lot.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, I'm finding it quite hard to get my head around that. So he gave them. Each one of them had children, so they got $1 million
in a suitcase.
$1 million in a suitcase because you've got children. You'd have thought, because when I heard the story, I thought, oh no, they'll all be heads of charities.
Exactly what
there'll all be some really good reason for this. But these are just mate.
These are people that George was friendly with on the way up. Jose Ferrer was one of the other people at the table, and he'd slept on his couch for X number of months. Richard Kind has worked for a long time, but never the level of George Clooney. This was all based on a profit participation check Clooney got for that space movie with Sandra Bullock, Gravity. But apparently it was millions and millions and millions of dollars, and he decided to share it with his friends. Richard Kind told me they thought, they sought security at George's house, that they were meeting somebody, that Clooney was going to introduce them to Sophia Loren or perhaps then President Bill Clinton. But instead of an introduction to a person, it was an introduction to a Toomey suitcase that none of them ever forgot.
Wow, how do you even fill a suitcase with $1 million? It blows my mind. Well, very, very generous.
If you've got the money, then there you go.
Absolutely that. Demi Lovato in a bit of hot water with a frozen yogurt shop.
Rochelle, it's funny enough, this is about, Phillip, I know you've been to Los Angeles. It's a single stand shop called The Big Chill. It's about a mile away from the studio here in West Los Angeles for this morning. There it is at the corner of Olympic and Westwood. It's great. I've gone there since I was a child. A lot of people go there. Often there's a line out the front door. Inside this fabled yogurt shop, before you get to the counter, are a few shelves with sort of diet cookies and diabetic candies and a variety of other treats. Apparently that did not sit well with Demi Lovato. She went to her millions of online fans and said, this visit to the yogurt shop triggered me because in addition to the yogurt, there were these other things. Piers Morgan actually wrote about this. You're seeing one of her posts there where she blasted the yogurt shop. She got a lot of pushback from that, so much so that she sort of feigned an apology overnight on her Instagram stories, saying that the yogurt shop still needs to do better. But perhaps she could have reacted more productively. But it's one of these sort of David versus Goliath, or maybe the other way around, with Demi being the Goliath. I mean, blasting this sort of mom and pop yogurt shop because she didn't like the snacks they were selling. For their part, by the way, the mint chocolate chip, Rochelle, amazing. She also
that's
said,
my favourite flavour too.
Okay.
That's my favourite.
We know that Piers Morgan weighed in, so it must be serious. He's got a lot of time on his hands at the moment to worry about yogurt. Next story: the Downton Abbey sequel is confirmed.
People are really excited about this. I tell you what, between Downton Abbey and The Crown, which obviously are about different subjects in terms of their specificity, but also the sort of whole upstairs, downstairs, another Downton Abbey movie. Your guest will know more about it. They're shooting now. Some big names added to the cast, Hugh Dancy, amongst others. And this is scheduled to premiere here, at least in the States, before the end of the year, around holiday time. So that's a real quick turnaround. Shooting now and will be done in just a couple months. People here cannot get enough of what they perceive as all of your lives there. Between the monarchy and the well-suited people of Downton Abbey, people are very interested in this stuff.
Rob James Collier on the programme a little bit later on, so we'll definitely be talking to him about that.
Absolutely that. Friends reunion. The latest. I'm desperate for any gossip on this.
You and everybody else, I think it's a dilemma. There's almost too many eyes on it. We've waited for this for well over a year. It's been delayed because of the pandemic. So the rumor mill is flying. What the basic show is a talk show reunion. They're all on the Friends set, and they'll be peppered with, oh, do you remember when? And then there are press reports of a few things that I don't know will ever necessarily make the air. If you're a real Friends aficionado, you recall the Halloween episode where Ross wore a potato costume. It was a pun off the Russian spacecraft Sputnik. They called it Spudnik. There it is. You're looking at it. Hilarity ensues. Is it funnier if Justin Bieber wears that costume and somehow appears in a cameo role on the show? Maybe it's a bridging the generation gap that a 20-something like Bieber loves the show. Everybody in that cast in their 50s and beyond. So I'm not sure. But I tell you what, when push comes to shove, they may have shot that. I don't know if we'll ever see it. It depends how it played.
Right.
Well, it's one of those things, though, that you think Friends fans, of which we number ourselves, we're quite happy with anything. Just throw us any old morsel.
We just want them all back in the same room, right? Just give them to us in the same room. We're happy.
Thanks, Sam.
You bet. See you guys.
Thank you.